All right, so moving now to Netflix, right? Now we're going to talk about The Harder They Fall, right? This was one of my highly anticipated films of the year. Just after seeing that trailer and just be like, holy shit, right? I am digging the hell out of this, right? Well, I will do the synopsis for this, and well, in the review, I just want to kind of talk about, just why I think this movie worked, better than it should have, right? So what this is, right? It's what you call a revisionist film, like basically a revisionist Western film, right? So
Right.
it tells you early on at the very beginning, actually, even though this is a fictional story, these characters that you're gonna see did live, they did exist, right?
Right. But
So
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we centered basically on the character of Nat Love, right? Who, again, is a real character, right? So, but what they do here, so just letting you all know here, it's mostly sorry centered on, well, black cowboys, right?
Right.
So yeah, so we have Nat Love here. He's played by Jonathan Majors, perfect casting in my opinion, and we get a really grim backstory in terms of why he is
Yeah.
so hell bent basically on
It's
going up against this guy
yeah. It's
by the
my
name
boy
of
from
Rufus Buck.
Yeah, it's my boy from Underground Railroad. Make a little appearance in the beginning.
Yes,
The little
yes,
youth here.
yes. That
Mm-hmm.
was him. I was like,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
watching. He's like, I know this guy from somewhere. But I was like, oh snap! Like, well, yeah, I didn't know till like literally told me he's from Underground Railroad. And yeah,
Mm.
well, okay, well, in that show, yeah, one of the best characters in it as well, right? But yeah, I mean, it's a short, bit that he has in here, but it really stands out, right? But yeah, in a nutshell, really something really tragic happens to him. So now he's going after, the villainous Rufus Buck, right, who is played by Idris Elba, who, it's funny because months ago he was in, Concrete Cowboy. So it's like he
Right.
just like literally just want to be a cowboy, just like,
Right. Right. Right.
you know
Right.
what,
Right.
2021 cowboy shit, right? That's
Yeah.
that's
Right.
just what it's gonna be, right? Yeah, yeah. So it's like this like Idris just loves being a cowboy, right? But in this case, though, he is, well, the bad guy, right? And what happens is that his gang, which is run by both the characters of Cherokee Bill, again, real characters, played by your boy Lakeith Stanfield, perfect casting there, and Trudy Smith, played by McGill, Regina King. So they basically break into this army, run train, and they free Rufus, right? So now
Right.
the plan basically is that he's going to this town, this black town of Redwood. He has some stake in it, basically. So basically, well, the idea is that he wants to rule this town. That he wants this to be, the mecca when it comes to, to to African Americans, to freed slaves, all that kind of stuff. But of course, he has to rule it with an iron fist because he's a bad guy, right? And of course, he has these vicious killers with him, including Trudy and Cherokee, who are just as vicious and cold-blooded as Rufus, right? So while all this is going on, now Nat runs into an old flame of his, stagecoach Mary, who is played by McGill, Zazie Beetz.
Right.
And we learn that Nat is being, well, basically being, well, what we learn is that basically he's a guy who robs bank robbers, right? So we have this sheriff, well, I would say a law enforcement officer. That's what you call him now, by the name of Bass Reeves, right? Who is
Right.
played by the great Delroy Lindo. And if you know about Bass Reeves, he is pretty much the inspiration behind the Lone Ranger, the character of the
Right.
Lone Ranger, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Delroy Lindo wants to bring it. Sorry, Bass Reeves wants to bring him in because like, oh, you're responsible for all that kind of stuff, right? But what happens is that Nat, stole from Rufus's gang basically, right? The Crimson Hood gang, right? So of course Rufus is like, I want my money back and all that kind of stuff. So that's what it is. It's just all these gunslingers and just all these characters is kind of coming together in this town of Redwood, right? And the shenanigans take place. So before we get to thoughts on it, right? So one thing that really attracted me to the show here, right, is it's a black western, so to speak, right? And it's one of those kind of it's those genres that you subgenres, like subgenres of western that you kind of forget exist, right? Like I will never forget, like in the 70s, there were films like Adios Amigos. There was the film Boss, which
Right.
well, the original title was Boss Nigga. the,
Right.
the theme song for that kicks ass. You need to check that out, right? But
Right.
basically in a nutshell, that genre, that black western genre, came out of well, the black exploitation genre of
Right.
the 70s, right? So which Van Peebles, late great Melvin Van Peebles, more or less spearheaded with the Sweet Sweetback's badass song, right? And why I'm
Right.
bringing up Melvin is that his son Mario actually did his own black exploitation, well, black western with Posse back in '93,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I
Yeah.
remember seeing on cable and not really remembering much about it, but
Yeah.
it,
Really.
it was kind of cool. And Big Daddy Kane starring it. Okay,
Right.
so
Right.
he
Right.
acted it cool. You know what I mean? But it's really like one of those genres I kind of think that kind of died, right? But then in cut to 2012, and we had Django Unchained, right? From Quentin Tarantino, right? A movie that I absolutely love, right? And it was Jamie Foxx. You never thought that you would see Jamie Foxx be a cowboy and be so convincing, just be such a badass on screen, right? And yet he did that, right? But while I was watching this movie here, I kind of felt like this was sort of like, oh well, if y'all didn't like Django Unchained because they say the N word a lot, and it's a white man who wrote the script, right? And
Right. Yeah.
it's mostly white people who say the N word, right? This one is like, well, we're not gonna have the N word at all. We just and it's gonna be mostly black people, right? So it's not just, oh well, he was a former slave like what Django was in Django Unchained, right? But I feel like this is the type of movie that, like, I don't want to say like, oh, well, this was blatantly done in such a way like because we hate Django Unchained, right? I feel like it's just carrying on that torch, you know what I mean? And I would say that too. Before we get to your thoughts, Ricardo, because I always felt with Tarantino to begin with him doing Django Unchained and The Hateful Eight, he just wanted to bring back the genre of westerns, right, in the 2010s, right? But times kind of change, and I think like the last really really awesome like big budget western to come out, right, was the Magnificent Seven, right? Really great film. Denzel Washington, Chris
Right.
Pratt was in it. You know what I mean? Solid film,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
Yeah. But I felt like after that nobody really cared about the Western genre, right? And that's why I felt like Tarantino did Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like people that cared about these old genres. So I guess maybe this is now my time to hang up my hat, so to speak, right? So that's why that film has a sort of reflective vibe to it, in my opinion, right? So it's really amazing that James Samuel, right, who I didn't even I wasn't really familiar about it and not even familiar with his music. I know he's part of well he calls himself the Bullets, you know what I
I
mean? So
think.
and
I
then
think
also he is
he's
the brother, I
a
believe it is,
seal.
of Seal.
Yeah. Yeah. I learned
Yeah.
that recently.
Yeah, so I didn't really know much about him though, but I really want to check out his work, his music, and his stand-up shows as well. So I want to like go on YouTube and see that stuff. So it's amazing that you have like a black, filmmaker and singer-songwriter. 'Cause I have to bring up music in this review here. Who wants to make a primarily black western? So that's really cool, man. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's really what I want to say in terms of that. And then, well, last thing, and then I'll shut up. Also, this borrows a lot from the spaghetti western, right? Which was probably one of the most impactful eras of the western. It really kind of turned westerns into a different direction. So it was more grim. It was a lot more violent, right? The characters were more, you know, um, out there. I mean, they were more large than life, so to speak, right? And I feel like to me, I felt that this film here it had a fall pays homage to both black exploitation or black westerns and spaghetti westerns, right? So that's just my early thoughts. But yeah, Ricardo, if you just want to wean anything on just the significance of this film in terms of westerns, and then you could jump into your thoughts on the film.
Yeah. They should have led with the soundtrack for promotion, right? Like,
Yeah.
I thought the marketing for this was a little misleading because I was expecting
Right.
a more grounded, more realistic kind of deconstructionist take on the Western, but it's a black
Okay.
cowboy thing. I
All
was
right. All right.
expecting that.
All right.
I was expecting that. Watching the trailer, right? And it had the Barrington Levy, but it's like, oh well, I don't know. And then I was like really surprised to get this more style over substance, you know, highly stylized kind of take on the matter, and just kind of catering to old westerns as being the glorification of a story. And that's really straightforward. You get a western. That no breakdown, no deconstruction, no realism necessarily. Yeah, it's the it really felt like a live action adaptation of a graphic novel that was never made, right?
Yes.
Um,
Yes. Yes. Mm.
so that's how it felt. Like I really thought, but the promotion didn't reflect that, in my opinion. And I can imagine some people not really feeling that, simply because they were just expecting something and they got something else, and they didn't really feel that. With that said, I really enjoyed what we got. To be honest,
Nice.
it is admittedly, yeah, it is style over substance, but it works. It's good style, and it had a lot of substance and a lot of potential nuance that it didn't really capitalize on, especially mostly to do it with Buck's gang. Um, but I really felt it was mostly fine. I'm just getting a quick little, slightly controversial thing out of the way. The casting of Zazie Beetz as Mary Fields. She doesn't look anything like the real Mary Fields. Um, I
Okay.
I could
Well, I
I could
mean,
understand I can understand why some people complaining about that. I mean, they could, I guess, somebody
oh,
like
I
somebody.
didn't even know people were complaining about it. To be honest,
Yeah,
I
no,
haven't read
it
up
it
if people felt a way that you have this actor
right.
playing this character. I mean,
It
I
came
didn't
up.
hear anything.
It came up in the discourse. It's mostly, light skin. They don't like light skin girls and that whole thing, right? I don't know who it against. Instead, like the person I had off the top of my head was the other Lovecraft Country co-star, Mosaku. She was Hunter B-15 in Loki.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah, her. But
right.
now I wonder. I love her as an actress and all that kind of stuff. But I wonder if the excuse this time might be like, oh, she's too big, right? You
No,
know.
that's exactly. If you see the real Mary Fields, that's what the real Mary Fields look. Um,
All
till
right, all right.
she have size too now. So people don't like the skinny light skin girl getting through. I know I had a couple people in the discourse was bringing that up. It didn't bother me too much, but I understand where they're coming from. That's about it. Moving on from that. Yeah. It's the reason why that's not a big deal is because of the stylistic, highly stylistic nature of it. It's not meant to be super accurate. It's not meant to be grounded and realistic. It's not a biography. It's not. That's not the point. It's telling that straightforward story, and it really works for what it is. Um, as I said, the big standout for this for me was the soundtrack. Like I kind of they really squandered the opportunity by not pushing these songs and promoting this soundtrack ahead of time. I didn't hear all these songs until actually listening to the film. I was like, dude, is that a new Lauryn Hill out? Like, I did real hard. Like, what? That should be trending on Twitter a hot minute before the film came out, right? But they didn't do that. Like, I thought that was a missed opportunity on their part. But for the most part, I really dug this. Had fun with it. Everybody was good in it. They had a lot of great bits and things that paid off, like that whole gunslinger feud thing. I love how they paid that off.
Oh,
It
I
really good.
love that. I love that.
Yeah, they had a lot of great little moments in it. Like, and it's such a comic book, yeah. Like, which is we go into a white town and it's an actual white town.
Yes, that
That was
was
really funny.
hilarious.
I forget the character's name, but this was the, well, presumably lesbian character who's the other gunslinger character.
Oh, that would be
Uh,
Cuffy, yeah.
Correct. I felt they could have paid her arc off a little better with the gunslinging thing. Like, that was one of the problems I had with it. That even though you're playing stuff for laughs and it's not supposed to be serious, I really thought they could have the scenarios play out a little better. It had too many moments with characters giving other characters time to talk and time to this. And again, I get it's a comic book and so on, so but they should have still played that a little straighter in terms of who using guns and who giving each other a chance to talk and whatever it is. Like, yeah, the other characters had enough time to shoot other characters all the time, like constantly, right through. And I find they could have set these situations up to make that a little better. Other than that, it was fine, for the most part. It's the stylism and they just the everybody just being all, um, everybody just being charismatic and badass. Everybody being a badass. You know,
Yeah, everybody.
everybody's a badass and everybody have
Yeah.
a line and everybody
And
looking
yeah,
cool.
everybody is just tough talking, but it's
Right,
just
right, right.
tough talking
But
on top of
but
tough talk. I
it
love
does
that.
work. It does work, and they play it really really well. Like, the person who shocked me, and I was like, it took me a hot minute to pick up who it was, but Dion Cole, right? Uh,
Yes. Mm.
yeah, he had a little moment, and when they introduce him, it's very funny what they do with that. Um, and
Oh yeah, I love that.
yeah, with
That
him
was brilliant.
eating the
Yeah.
steak.
Yeah,
Yeah, him
eating
eating
the
the
steak.
steak.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. But they make it work. I'll say this obviously could be, hopefully, if it works, and if I understand it, it gets decent enough ratings. If it works, it could get a sequel or unless some kind of spin-off. If it's anybody I would give the spin-off to, it would be Delroy Lindo. I thought he was great in this, and he didn't really
Oh
get
yeah,
much.
yeah.
Well, we know who he is. It's Basrius. Like, a straight up Basrius series could totally work in this. But yeah, the way they play it out as if, well, if you see at the end in the last little shot, like, all right, okay, I see what they're going for. In the ending. Um, I loved it. I really had a lot of fun with it. I really wanted it to be a little more. Now I would say it had a flaw a little better in terms of like just characters doing things that just kind of typically dumb. Like, oh, you could have shoot him here, or he could have dead here real easy. But they didn't do that, and it didn't bother me too much. Given what vibe it was trying to go for, it didn't bother me too much. That's what it is. As I said, it is the promotion and marketing made it misleading. So I thought I was getting something. I thought I was getting one thing, but I really got something else. So that's how I felt about it. But yeah, everybody working it. Jonathan Majors is a star. He really held it together as the protagonist. What they do in the ending with him and the villain, I thought was great. Again, typical Western shit, but it works. It's fine. Yeah, I had fun with this one. I rate it. So I don't know, rating 8 out of 10 probably.
Speaking of soundtrack, right? Like I actually had it on me, right? But I'm the type of person, who want to see the film, and then like especially the case that is various artists, right? So I just want to hear the music itself in the context of the film, right?
Right.
And I was just digging the hell out of the soundtrack though.
Yeah.
From hearing Barrington Levy, like this taking his classic Brother Than Broadway song and just reworking it into this movie though was awesome. The scene that he used here was awesome. Ian Kid Cudi and Jay-Z on Guns Go Bang.
Pretty good
McGill
song.
Coffee. Not
Right.
to be
Yeah, she had a
confused
good
with the character in the film who is Coffee. Oops. Right. In doing the title track they had, they fall. Just and he and even my boy CeeLo Green on Black Skin Mile, you know what I mean, near the end, right? So yeah, I was just digging this soundtrack. Even the director himself, James Samuel, sang a song. No turning around. Yeah,
but to me, the
the
big standout song was Lauryn Hill. Like,
yes.
I thought real fire song, Black Woman. It's like, oh, that was my favorite song in the soundtrack. It's like, oh, this is excellent though.
Yeah. What one song that I was looking out for was King Kong Rhythm, and this is with Jeezy, Jadakiss, and Conway the Machine, right, from Griselda Records, right? Because this was the song that they were using to promote the film. Like I think it was like about a week or two, leading up to the release of the film and the soundtrack. This was the song that they were pushing on. Well, I saw it on Instagram actually. Conway was promoted it now. You know what I mean, on his account, right? But yeah, I didn't hear it in the film. Though. I was like, what the hell? Like, like, I was waiting for it to the credits and like nothing.
I really thought we would have gotten like similar to what they did with Black Panther, where we get like 1 or 2 videos for a song, and you push that hard to hype the movie. Like I thought they should have done that.
Say, oh well, it's Netflix, it's not a theatrical release. That's why. No, look at the cast in your film. Like, look at how much A-list actors in your film. Come on,
hype that
hype
up.
But
this could have easily been in theaters, to be honest.
I would have loved to see this film in theaters.
Yeah, I thought they should have put it in theaters, to be honest. Whatever.
Yeah. Right. So the soundtrack with Wood do it is very similarly it has a similar use to like how the soundtrack to Django Unchained was, right? Where you have like just these larger life moments, these grandiose moments though, and then you have the song play, but then you also have like a quiet moment, you have a really dramatic moment where a song will play. It's very think about it like how the late great Ennio Morricone, how his music was used for films like the Good Bad the Ugly, Fistful of Dollars, Fistful of Dynamite, stuff like that. It's used like that, right? But that's with contemporary music, right? What I really dug also too was the use of reggae as well. You know what I mean? To just like stuff like the Barrington Levy stuff. Just hearing that Jamaican inflections and stuff in this movie worked for me, right? But really, what sold it though were the actors themselves. You could tell that everybody just had a blast working on this film though. Jonathan Majors though, he owns this role. He kills it though. He just knocks out the park. Idris Elba, like this is probably one of my favorite performances from him. He just kills it as Rufus, but he's just a great cold-blooded villain. But I like how, even though he is cold-blooded, he just like the great villains, like like the Lee Van Cleef of Good, Bad, the Ugly, or the Henry Fonda of Once Upon a Time in America. Sorry, in the West.
Yeah.
There's a kind of thoughtfulness as well too. Like he will just like flat out like gonna dude, right? But he will just kind of like watch you. Like there's actually a great moment, slight spoiler, where he asks a guy his name, and as the man give it, boom. That
Yeah.
was it to do.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
he's not like cope. He's not like ruthless where he would just shoot a man just without like talking to him or whatnot. But like he knows like when time to go down, it goes out, right? But there's a really great backstory in the end though. And it's one of those
Well,
things
as
like
I
if you're
said,
familiar
here's the
with
thing,
one second, like if you're familiar with westerns, you can kind of watch it and be like, oh, but the way the I really really dug it though. But really, what sells it is how Idris performs it, right?
right?
It's one of those. Oh gosh, like you know how much times you see this, but you know
Yeah,
within the genre of westerns, like yeah, this kind of makes sense though. Like yeah,
right.
this I
It's
could buy
fine.
it. Yeah, this is perfect. I love it. I mean, but yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, I don't have a problem with any of that. But as I said, if it was a more nuanced and grounded kind of script, they could have do more with the whole, well, for soul central plan and what you're trying to do now. Like that just took a background in terms of what the story was about, because like what
oh,
he was
okay,
trying
I
to do,
understand. Yeah,
what he's trying to do with the whole tongue and the whole thing involving the $25,000, I really felt that could have get more of a play in the
yeah.
storyline.
And
Um,
there was time they could have just given us like a couple more moments where
right.
you really really understand though. Because
But
I understand what you mean.
yeah,
Yeah,
so it feels more like the first episode of something more than anything. To be honest, like I at this point I really want to see sequels to this, so some spin-off of some sort, right? I'm sure that could be done. As I said,
yeah,
if it's anybody who I would like to see, like multiple characters could get a show from this, right? Zazie Beetz could get a show from this. Basrius could get a show from this. Delroy Leno kind of, he kind of, in my opinion, kind of gets snubbed from the Five Bloods, right? So I don't know.
yeah. Yeah,
But
well,
I want to see.
that kind of he did.
Yeah, yeah. So how I kind of want to see, like, yeah, I kind of want him to get a show. Like he's kind of seriously slept on, in my opinion. But yeah, I liked it. In fact, I really loved it. The more I think about it, once you get into the stylistic nature of it, it's fine. But like but if it was looking for something more serious and grounded and deconstructionist, and that's kind of where the Western has gotten for many people. So to see something stylistic like this, I could imagine being a little jarring for them, to be honest, right?
Right, yeah, yeah,
But it still works in my opinion, for the
right.
most part.
Well,
So
what
like,
I would say,
yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what
no,
I
you
would
go ahead.
say in terms of the style itself now. Now, just going back to what I said before with the somewhat demise of the Western, right, in
Yeah,
the 2010s. Um like so that's why I appreciate I feel like this like I feel like a film like this has to be stylized. Like it has to kind of just breathe new life into the genre, right? So while it's not doing anything new or spectacular as far as, the narrative goes, because yeah, I mean you've seen bits of this premise done
everywhere.
before
Yeah,
in
yeah,
other westerns, right? But because of the energy that they put into it, because of the style that they put into it, though,
yeah.
I feel that this would definitely appeal to people who not into westerns. And to me, I
Right.
I, I love that. I love the fact. I really love the fact that yeah, this is what they're going for. So the old school Western heads or people like me who grew up on Westerns because, the father, showed them Westerns or just talked about how much he loved Westerns, like my dad did. Like, I imagine, like, he probably wouldn't get this at all. He might just find it's
Right.
just, too much style of a substance. I know this will be the common excuse, style of a substance, but I think it was an even mix of style and
Right.
substance, right?
Right. Right.
You could have gotten a little bit more though in terms of like the setup and the motivation and the characters, but for me, I just got I felt like it just got enough, right? They got enough in terms of character motivations, what they were about, right? So if I just have like a couple gripes though, I would say that this one particular sequence that takes place in that white town, I
Yeah.
felt like there should have been a little bit more stakes to it, right?
Right. Right.
Especially
Right.
given the fact that it involves the character of Coffee, because like this is really her moment to shine, right? And
Right.
she
Right.
does shine, right? But it's to the point like I felt like we could have gotten a little bit more of her character, like learn a little bit more about her, right?
Right. Right. Right.
And then because of how easy the job is, without spoiling anything,
Oh, that's
what I
like
mean?
that's
Like
like
this, yeah, it was like just like the side adventure. Basically, it
yeah.
didn't really like all right, it's part of the story, yes, but I felt there could have been more stakes involved. Like like oh well, I should say an easy way to solve it. Have a horse chase scene, basically, right? Have a nice old fashioned shootout, right? Where it's characters
Yeah.
and horses trying to gun each other down, and you
Yep.
raise the stakes up a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And
Yeah. Do.
yeah, you really put those characters through the ring, and then okay, they succeed, and you learn a little bit more about them through that experience, and then you jump back into the story. But this kind of happens. It's like, all right, well, it happened, but but truth be told, though, that set piece of that town though was hilarious. How they
Yeah.
show it with the text was hilarious. I was watching, it's like, wait, now, but what? why this place looking this way? You
Yeah.
know, but when
The
they
white
actually see
is a white
boom,
tongue.
like, oh wow, that was
Yeah,
funny,
the
right?
white tongue. Yeah.
Now, I know you
Um.
have like the historical heads, the history buffs that'll come and say, well, yes, this was actually a town, and this is how it really was, and
Okay. Well, I
during
would I
during
would know
points of
otherwise.
time in the year, they do stuff like this. But like
Okay.
for me, I was like, I don't know, I just really really sure.
Yeah. Exactly. I didn't get that at all.
Yeah,
It just
and
meant to be super.
maybe like again, like I imagine that maybe like a couple of people might wonder, okay, so there were really like black towns in that era of
Right.
American
Yeah.
history
Definitely.
or in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
area of America.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm just watching the film. I assume that the people behind the scenes did the research. So I just
Yeah.
like,
Well,
all right, okay, so Red Town. Sorry, what's the name of the place where
Redwood.
Redwood's probably a real place for all we know. Okay, I just roll with it as is, right? But I do have some people who might just be like, maybe that's not historically accurate, But I mean, the show is not about accuracy per se. It's just about all right, showing you the familiar, but we adding our own flair and style to it. Another scene in particular involving when Stagecoach Mary actually goes into this pub, sorry, where Rufus is, and there's like this musical sequence that goes on, right? And I'm not gonna say what happens
That
in the sequence, but there's a person that's in it now. I
that
watch this
cracked me
thing
up.
and I'm like, well, wait, no, but this shit would have never happened in this era. But
That real
I
cracked me up.
understand, like thematically why it's there, but you just kind of watch like, oh,
Yeah,
like
stick with that.
that
I
that
thought,
that kind of stand out a little too much.
yeah, that cracked me up because that it reminded me of like a nightclub that Stefan would recommend to you, right? If you get that joke, right? Um, it was so strange, but I was like, wait, they're trying to look at how it felt like if well, it's like they're trying to. It was like the tongue they're trying to build is like a proto Harlem now.
Yes,
Given all
yes.
the music and all the theatricalities of the story, it's like, oh, they're trying to build like, oh, black people always are trying to build like a proto Harlem. Like Harlem is like the one big example of this flourishing. But
Right.
if you give black people some money and you give them some land, that's where you're gonna get almost every time. There's a real bumping joint and a place to
Yeah.
line, right? And yeah, it was like
But
this
like
that felt so
it was
out of
weird.
place.
It was a little weird, but it worked for the
Yeah,
style. Is like, all right, now
exactly.
what we say in a nutshell is like, if it was in the like the CD30s, for example, like
Right,
when burlesque was a thing, all
right.
right,
That would
that
make
that would have
sense.
make sense. But like
Right.
in the 1800s,
But I think it always had that kind of stuff in thing, like it was in France for however long on and wherever it is. Like that's not it's not like something that was totally alien to the time, but like given where it was and what money people had, it was still real weird. It was
yeah.
real weird. And
But
again,
thankfully the scene doesn't last for too long though,
right,
and but it really does kind of like how I saw it was just like thematically like it's kind of like the River Styx kind of thing, like you go into Hades,
right,
and
right, right,
and Rufus is the devil literally, right? That's what they're going for with that, right? Yeah.
right, right.
Just a couple more things before I get to my rating, right? But yeah, like I say, everybody had a blast. Regina King though killed it as Trudy Smith
Yeah,
too.
it was good.
I love
Yeah,
how tough talking she was. I love how she's like, yeah, he not my boss. Like you not the boss of me, and you know what I mean. She have a nice little backstory involving his sister, which I was worried I was gonna run for a little too long, or thought it wasn't gonna lead up to a point. Like yeah, they have little moments like this, and you can tell it's very Tarantino-esque, right? I hate to use that term, but it is, right? Where you have the monologue that kind of shows that there's something human about the villain, right?
right,
But then
right.
the villain would do something very, very shocking and dastardly, like, oh wow, like, all right, now I see why we should fear you, right? Um Lakeith Stanfield as Cherokee Bill, but
Brilliant.
wow,
Yeah,
like the moment where he's introduced to it and he's in that train is like, all right, this man just owning it. He owning it, he owning it. I love how he's bringing his kind of weirdness to this picture. Though I like how calm he is. Though. He's just like, yeah, we doing this, Trey. But you see like how everybody all fidgety and what when a bus shuts. Do I cool, Dre? But you step to me, Dre. That's it, right? I love I forgot I think it's Jim, the character of Jim, right, who's played by Siler, right? I love how cocky he is, and he's all flipping the guns and all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, I just looking for somebody who I could face. That guy's the fastest draw in the West, right? I really, really dug his character as well too, and his friend Bill as well too, right? Um, I love their back and forth as well. Though for some people they might like kind of look at it like, okay, well, why those two characters in particular talk like they come out of some modern black show TV show whatnot. But I actually had no problem with that. It kind of remind me a bit like of Django Unchained, the way how black characters talk there, right? The
Right,
character
right,
of
right.
Coffee was a surprise as well too. I didn't expect to see the character in it. They do hint at something near the end. I felt they could explore a little bit more though, but I like that there's a line that says, "What you looking at?" Right? This kind of like just there for the guys who are just like, okay, wow, right? And there's even a really hilarious moment involving who I believe is Jim Dredd, where Jim was kind of like questioning who she was. That's all we'll see. That had me real cracking up though because of his reaction to it as well, right? Um, Dear Cole, who played Wiley, I thought that he was great
Right.
as well too. I like that they gave him more to do with it. He's not just the guy who gets
I
roughed up by
No, but
Rufus, right?
that's the thing. I really, I didn't expect them to be have like is interested to see him play a surprisingly serious role, even in something as
Yes. Mm.
over the top and weird as him. He didn't seem, because he always, every time you see him, he always smiling and jokey face, no? But
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was like
Agreed.
shocking to watch him that serious, and this is like, wait, he was unrecognizable. In my
Agreed. Yeah,
opinion,
yeah,
for me, yeah,
yeah. Zazie Beetz was great as Stagecoach Mary. I love how tough and resourceful she was too, and yeah, she actually have a song on the soundtrack too. So it was interesting hearing her do that performance, right. Well, I don't think it's the actual song that's on the soundtrack, but she does show her, that kind of remind people, hey, I could sing too. You know what I mean? So yeah, but Idris, though, he to me is the standout in this entire film. I would say him and Jonathan Majors, right? But it just really kills it as Rufus Ware. I love
yeah.
how just how cold he was, right? That's all I'll say, right? And the reveal,
Elba, right? You mean, right?
yeah. And the reveal near the end, though, I thought worked as well, and especially the way how he played it, he was great as well. Also before I forget, cinematography was great. Direction was great.
Yeah,
The title sequence alone, but when I
yeah,
saw that,
yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, yeah, I fucks with this. I fucks with this movie. You know what I mean? And yeah, as a whole, I really dug this film. This is hands down one of my favorite shows of the year thus far. I'm going high with this, light 4.5 out of 5. This is
Yeah.
the absolute must see. If you are a Western fan, if you're a fan of like revisionist Westerns, you need to see this. If you probably if you love if if you love Django Unchained, you'll enjoy this. If you hated Django Unchained, because of the use of the N word and all that kind of stuff, then you will enjoy this as well, right? I imagine. I mean, yeah, there'll be people who might complain, oh, it's all style over substance, blah blah blah. But I'll make the argument that given a genre like this, right, you need that shot in the arm. You need something like this to kind of just get people interested in talking about westerns again. I have a feeling that this is one that's gonna definitely do that. And in closing, I do agree with you, Ricardo. I would love to see sequels for this, especially the way how the movie ends. That's all we'll say. I think that Lindo needs his own little
I
sequel
would love that.
because like people like even I myself didn't even know the comparison with Batteries and the Lone Ranger. I think a lot of people will be stoked to by that and just see that like, oh wow, this is how big of a deal this is, right? And last thing last though, well, I'm here to see this because I actually follow him on Instagram. I imagine Spike Lee loves the hell out of this children
Right.
because
Yeah.
I want to bring this up too
Thriller.
because like he famously like detests Django Unchained. Like he didn't want to see it. We mentioned before in our review of Django Unchained, which we did back in 2019. Yeah, he was one of the people who was like, no, you can't take slavery and make some glorified Western out of this. Who you think you are, Quentin? You know what I mean? So like he like flat out say he wouldn't even see the film, right? But yeah, I imagine he sat home and watched this. I was just enjoying every single second of it. It's like, yes, this is what I want to see. And just to end things off, I imagine this is probably a show that he probably deep down inside he would have loved to make. You know what I mean? Like this kind of feels right up his alley. But I feel like if Spike did it, it probably be way more dramatic, be more woke. You know what I mean? But it still has that energy that his films, even up to now, have, right? But yeah,
Right.
not much more we could see. This is a must see. This should have been in theaters. I would have loved to see it in theaters for sure. But it's on Netflix, so you all have no excuse. So yeah, see the shit like as soon as. And
Yeah.
check out the soundtrack as well too. Check it out.